all of their similarities, the range of vehicles that fall under the motorhome umbrella are a broad and diverse lot. Take the Class B. This relatively compact grouping of RVs offer many of the creature comforts buyers seek out in a motorhome, while their likeness to a large van is telling of how approachable they can be for the RV novice. Class A motorhomes, on the other hand, offer a sharp contrast in dynamics. These much wider vehicles practically devour lane space, while stretching as long as 45 feet from bumper to bumper. In their largest form, they resemble something more akin to a tour bus than a camper van. And getting behind the wheel can be an intimidating prospect for the uninitiated. Another way to look at it is that if you can learn to drive a Class A motorhome, there's not much else you won't be able to drive. Today, we're back in Palm Springs, California with RVers Caitlin and Peter. Last time, Caitlin got her first taste behind the wheel of a Class A diesel pusher in the safety of a parking lot under Peter's tutelage. While her enthusiasm was certainly intact, the sheer size of the vehicle, the speed, and the coordination required to execute the proper push-pull steering technique around corners, combined with first-time jitters, proved to be quite the challenge.
I can usually tell within about the first 20 or 30 seconds if someone's going to get off to a quick start, if they're a real natural. I'm not sure about Caitlin yet. I can't tell. She's having a little trouble with the steering. I taught her how to do push-pull steering. She's getting a little crossed up with that. I have to wait and see how it goes before we go out on the street.
Kate's had a bit of a rocky start, but if there's a surefire road to progress, it's called practice. And that's precisely the route Peter is leading her through.
For someone who started off having a fair amount of trouble out of the box, Caitlin stepped it up pretty well here. I'm pretty confident we're going to be all right if we go out on the road.
So, that was in the parking lot. You ready to go out on the road?
Maybe.
Okay, let's fire back up. Same thing as before. We're going to be doing more straight lines for the moment.
Okay.
All right? So we're going to take it out. We're going to go right up where it says stop up there. Go to the stop sign, make a left.
Okay.
Okay. Nothing to it. Okay, just don't get too close to the stop sign because you're not familiar with your width yet. And make this super smooth, just a little throttle and nice smooth push pull. And you can round this turn right out because you're making a left. Nice and easy. And after those rear wheels hump over like that, now you can accelerate out. That's it.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
You're on the road.
Ah!
Oh no. So the first thing we're gonna work on right here, lane control.
Okay.
So this is all about just getting comfortable driving at speed. And even though we're in town here, there's nothing challenging about this from that standpoint. It's a very wide lane.
Yep.
There's no parked cars on the right. You're gonna glance at that left mirror and see how close you are to the white line.
Yep, I have been.
I see you. There's nothing to this, huh?
No, this is pretty easy. I like driving in straight lines.
So we're gonna do now, we're gonna practice those left turns now. We're gonna do a bunch of them.
Okay.
And we're gonna get to the point where it's just a no-brainer and you're bored and you wanna make rights because it's a challenge.
Okay, sounds good.
Nice and smooth. Good, so I wanna tell you the difference between making a square and a round turn. Square turns are made to get through tight places.
Okay.
A big open rounded left like that with no one waiting at the stop sign there, you can round it out.
Okay.
Okay? As you go, that's it, as you go. Perfect, and you don't have to cover the brake there so much. Just be careful about putting too much throttle on as you come around. Okay, so now cover the brake again. That's why you cover the brake. You see how your hand slipped on the wheel?
Yep.
That's why you cover the brake, so you can't accidentally accelerate when you're not in control. Excellent.
I'm getting it. Getting it. Slowly but
I'll
surely.
be the judge of that. Make this as smooth as you can. See how smooth you can be on that steering wheel. And part of that'll be not over-accelerating. That's right. That was the best turn you've made yet. It was very good, very good. Shoot. Okay? That was good. And that's gonna take you a little while here.
For success. The decision to pursue a life on the road will look a little different for each and every RVer out there. For some, it may be a dream years in the making. For others, it might come in a moment of inspiration that suddenly snaps everything into focus.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Caitlin.
And we are the Mortons. We've been traveling in our RV since September 2015.
We're originally from Michigan, and the idea to hit the road full-time happened one winter when we took a week-long vacation down to Florida. We had a wonderful time in the sun, and when we came back, we flew into Detroit, landed in a blizzard, had to drive our car 2 hours back home in said blizzard. And as we were driving home, we were like, why did we come back?
Neither of us really like winter, and we were just like, oh, this isn't what we want. And we drove by an RV dealership, and I turned to her, I said, aren't those things like houses on wheels?
Don't people live in them?
Didn't really know anything about it, but by the time we got home, we decided we were gonna buy an RV and go south.
We knew we wanted to make a change, but we weren't sure what. We knew we wanted to move out of Michigan, but we didn't know where because we didn't do a lot of traveling besides the 2 weeks of vacation that we had every year. So we really hadn't explored the United States.
So when it kind of, the light bulb went off that an RV could
Full of stuff that we barely ever used, and it was a lot of work to get rid of it, but it is possible. And so for us to share our story, we hope that that inspires other people to do the same thing.
Whether you're looking to become full-time RVers like the Mortons, or you're dreaming of a part-time RV lifestyle, venturing into the unknown can be a scary thing even for the most adventurous of us. But as the Mortons story demonstrates, taking the plunge and pursuing a dream at any cost, chasing an adventure that may appear to be outside the realm of what's possible, promises a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you'll surely not regret.
Why LEDs? What's different about them from other light?
The most important thing for people when they want to go to LED generally is going to be power consumption. They want to get their power usage down. RVers tend to boondock, and anything that you can do to reduce the power, about 1/10 the power on average. If you have fluorescent lighting in your RV and you switch to LED, you're going to use about half the power.
One of the things we've noticed is that halogens particularly get incredibly hot, and LEDs, people talk about power savings, but for those of us who have used them now, we know that the heat is even a bigger issue sometimes, because if we're dry camping or boondocking out in the desert or out off the grid, we don't necessarily have the ability to run the air conditioning as easily. So how much difference is it going to make to have LEDs when it comes to heat?
So when it comes to an incandescent or a halogen, they're going to be well over 200 degrees at their surface temperature, whereas an LED will be around 100 degrees. There's still a little bit of heat that's generated. It comes down to efficiency, and the LED is much more efficient. So it is going to...
Some adjustments. With the excitement of hitting the road also comes the difficulty of parting with family and friends, the convenience of a permanent residence, and most likely a spacious kitchen. But perhaps the worst of all, we must very reluctantly say, luckily, understanding your options to staying connected is far less challenging with the guidance of tech nomads Chris and Cherie, who are all over the subject with their straightforward breakdown of how to keep your internet manageable when you migrate.
The most frequent question we get asked is, what is the best mobile internet solution when you're RVing?
And, well, the answer is there is no answer. There is no one single best that is the best everywhere you might happen to go, because you're mobile.
And the best solution is the one that works at your location right now.
To help determine the best solution for your location, Chris and Cherie suggest answering 4 basic questions prior to examining the options available.
One of the most important
And
is to be complicated.
After you've assessed the degree of importance for having internet, it's time to explore the options of acquiring it.
there are 3 basic options that most RVers standardize on.
So there's Wi-Fi, which a lot of people think, hey, that's going to be free, simple, and easy because the RV park advertises, hey, there's free Wi-Fi here to be had.
And then there's cellular, the same technology that you use to make a call on your smartphone is the same technology that can provide internet access for you to check your email and stream your Netflix.
And then, of course, there is satellite, which a lot of people really get excited about because the dream of satellite is that it can work anywhere you've got a view of the sky, anywhere in the world even.
What are the pros and cons of each of these options? With Wi-Fi, if your RV park offers it, you might be able to get online with it from your site. But there's a lot of downsides to Wi-Fi that might not make it usable for someone who relies on internet access.
One of the setbacks of Wi-Fi is often a weak signal, in which case an antenna can be attached to your rig for a stronger connection. Or you can consider option 2.
Cellular has a lot of pros going for it. It's available anywhere that your cellular carrier has a tower and the signal reaches you, which is a lot of places these days.
But, well, cellular also can suffer from overloaded towers, or there's a lot of complications and limitations with plans that might limit how you actually are able to share that connection with your other devices.
And that stuff changes all the time. So you have to pick which cellular carrier you want to use, and there are multiple of them in the US. And you have to pick the gear that you want to use. It could be as simple as hotspotting off your smartphone.
Now, most phones allow you to just create a personal hotspot. Your phone is then sharing a connection that your tablets and your laptops and anybody you want to allow can then access your cellular connection. Or you can use something that is a mobile hotspot, often known as a jetpack or a MiFi or various other names. This is like a phone without the phone ability. It does that same feature, takes a cellular connection, and makes a Wi-Fi hotspot around you that multiple devices can connect to.
And then the last option is satellite. And those are satellites that are up in space, far, far away, broadcasting a signal down to Earth.
Yeah, so the catch with satellite is speed of light actually starts to have an impact. You're communicating with something that's 26,000 miles over the equator, and, well, takes time for the signal to go there and bounce back down. Or there's other satellites that are lower down in lower orbits, but they're moving rapidly through the sky, so you can't really aim at them easily.
To get broadband speeds on satellite, you have to have dishes that are really huge, and that's a lot to carry along in an RV. But if you are way out in the boonies and that is your only option, it's a great option.
On the other hand, if you're okay with very, very slow speeds, there are devices that are satellite messengers that are text messaging anywhere in the world at super, super slow speeds. You're not surfing the web, you're not viewing pictures, but you can get out the important messages of like, I'm here safe, or you can share a GPS track, and that works anywhere and are pretty practical.
So those are the 3 basic options that RVers use, and you can keep very connected in an RV, or sometimes just shut off the internet and get out and explore the wonderful places that you're at.
When transitioning to a rolling home, it's likely that your internet connection becomes just as free-spirited as your new way of life, both coming and going unexpectedly. But in addition to these tech-nomadic tips, it's also a smart idea to unplug once in a while, step outside, and just recharge.